Rated T for teen.
What's up guys, Grim here. Today we're going to talk about what all is there to do once you hit level 65 in the game. Where do you go? What all activities are there to do? How do you progress? All these questions are going to be answered in this video, so I hope you enjoy it. If you're one of those players that hits max level and you think, there is nothing to do, I am so bored, well, you are clearly not looking in the right place because there are so many activities to do. It is almost endless the amount of time that you can put into each of these activities because every one of them has their own progression paths and accomplishments to do. So all you have to do is dive into one of them, start having a blast, and if you get bored of that one, just move on to the next one because that will have progression for you as well. We'll try to go over many of these activities so that you can know exactly how to find them and how to take part. The first and most common way of progressing your character is through getting better gear. Now this could be armor, weapons, or accessories, or anything else that you can equip to your character in order to make it more powerful. And if you take for example a helm piece here that is a very nice helm, but then you go and do a dungeon or PvP or something else and you get an item that's even nicer that has better stats, better DPS on the weapon or whatever else you get, and you replace that better weapon into the slot so that you are progressing your character in gear. And there's lots of ways to do that, whether it's replacing the item altogether or upgrading it through the various paths that you can have. Take for example this shoulder piece here. If you look at the item on my character, you see that it has a little arrow on the top right of the icon here, and that means that I can upgrade this item. So if I alt left click it, it will show the various upgrade paths that I can do. Now in order to upgrade those items, you have to get the ingredients in order to upgrade it. And these are usually done by doing the activities in the game such as raiding or PvP or whatever else. And we'll go over all those various activities, so don't worry about that. So as you can see, the item here shows an upgraded item that I can get and replace my current item with. And it's just upgrading it. So it'll take my current item and basically make it into a better version. And if you look on the right side of the screen, you see my currently equipped item, but at the bottom it shows replacing this item will change, and it shows the green numbers and then the red numbers. The green numbers mean that it is better stats, and the red numbers mean it is worse stats. But overall, it's going to be a very good replacement because it is an upgrade to the item. The second way of progression is through skills, and this is mainly stuff like crafting and gathering. So if I bring up my crafting menu here, you see that I have armor smithing, and I have it maxed out at the time being with 450 of 450 at the top where it says I'm a savant, and that means that I have capped out this particular skill. So this is something I've worked on in the game myself. But if we go to something like my mining, you see at the top it shows that I'm only 138 skill points. That means that I have room for progression here. I can go around in the game and go to ore sites and mine the ore up and actually get the skill progressed up to where I can mine even better ores, and I can take those ores and apply them to my armor smithing and make nice armor from the ores that I have mined up. The third way of progression is through raiding, and this is considered by a lot of players to be the top of the line in gameplay, in that you and a group of players are going to try to down the biggest, baddest monsters in the game. And take for example, you may go into an area that will have 3 big bosses, and you need to kill all 3 of them in a row, and the further along that you get is the progression. So if you down the first boss, the work becomes getting down the second boss, and then so on and so forth. So the further you get is the more progression you have in your raid. The fourth way of progression is through fighting other players and achieving PvP prestige ranks. Now this is something that you can see if you go to your Warfront menu, as you see I have on the right side of my screen, and click on the bottom PvP tab there. And then at the top you see it says my PvP prestige rank is 100. And that is the top rank in the game right now. So it's a very nice thing to have accomplished, and it also unlocks titles for your character. If you look on the left side where it shows my character profile here, I will go down to titles, and then you can see the various PvP titles I have. And the big one right now for rank 100 is of course the Dreambreaker title, and that is shown to every player that looks at my character in the game, and they know that I have done a lot of PvP and I have done well at it in order to get so much prestige to get the Dreambreaker title. The fifth way of progression is through helping level up a guild. If you are a member of a guild, then you can partake in a quest that they accept, and if you complete that quest, it'll give experience towards your guild's level, and the higher the guild levels up, the more perks it unlocks. And it'll be various things such as reducing the cooldown on soul recall by 10 minutes, or even crafting benefits such as increasing the chance of getting a second skill point from successful trade skill attempts by 15%. So as you can see, these are big benefits that all guild members will love to have. So leveling up the guild is a very nice thing to progress in. A sixth way of progression is through economic domination, and this is basically where you are going to collect items, craft items, or even do particular skills for people in order to make money in the game. The progression is to be as rich as you can be. So as you can see, I have a few artifacts listed on the auction house, and these are selling for hundreds of platinum. So it's making me good money to go around and collect artifacts. Whereas other people like to use their trade skills in order to craft items, in order to sell to players, and you can do that on the auction house, or else you can even sell to people in the various chats. It's all up to you. Choose whichever way is best for you and try to make as much money as you can. A seventh way of progression is through questing, and we're going to specifically talk about storyline quests because those are the ones that chain together and extend the fun, so to say. It's just one quest after another that all tie together and continue the story as you go along. So they're really fun to complete. They're very interesting in that all kinds of crazy stuff can happen, and also the rewards are amazing, specifically in the Nightmare Saga storyline quest that everybody is doing. There is an amazing weapon that you can get once you complete the Act 3 of it. So these storyline quests are fun, interesting, and have great rewards. The last method of progression that we're going to talk about is notoriety, and this is basically how much a particular people like you. As in, you go to a town and you find out that this town is being ravaged by monsters on the outskirts, and they're asking you, please go kill these monsters and we will like you much more. So you can get quests, or else you can go out there and fight the monsters by themselves, and then you will gain reputation with that particular town to where they'll like you more. And if you get high enough of a reputation with them, you will be able to get extra items that normally would not be available unless you gained reputation with that faction. So a lot of people like to go to the various areas and work up the faction on every single one of them that they can, and they get all the benefits from being friends with those particular people. You might be saying to yourself, that sounds great. That's lots of ways to progress in the game, and it sounds very fun. But how do I do those things? How do I get into Warfront matches in order to increase my prestige? Or how do I get into a raiding group in order to down these big bosses that I would love to take credit on killing? Well, let me show you exactly how to do those things. Keep in mind that several times throughout this guide I'm going to reference using your marks in order to upgrade your gear, or else spend your marks on getting world gear altogether. And in order to do that, all you have to do is go to the bottom left side of your screen and click on the little shopping cart icon that says Rift Store, and that'll pop up this screen here. At the left side you'll see the equipment tab, and we'll go ahead and click on that. And this will list a lot of different things that you can spend your marks on. Take for instance, if we click on the armor tab, we'll have all of this Drowned Prophet gear that we can spend our Fragments of Madness on. And below it is Frostkeeper gear and Voidstone gear, just lots of things that we can spend marks on in order to get a brand new piece of gear. If we want to spend our marks on upgrading gear, all we have to do is go to the Upgrade Parts tab here, and you'll see all of these accelerators that we can buy, and these are main components in upgrading your gear, such as your Frostkeeper gear or your Drowned Prophet gear. So this is where you get them, and I'll reference this many times throughout the guide. The first activity we're going to talk about is dungeons, because this is probably the most common way of progressing your character, because dungeons give lots of gear, give lots of marks in order to upgrade your gear or buy the world gear, as well as notoriety and lots of other things. If we open up our looking for group menu, we see at the top that it says Random Nightmare Tide Experts, and these are the dungeons that we're wanting to do at level 65. And to the right of it, you see that we have Random Dungeon Charges, which we need one of those in order to get the currencies after completing one of the dungeons, which is going to award us things like Fragments of Horror and Fragments of Madness, which are some of the latest currencies in the game that are needed. And if you do not have any of the random dungeon charges, all you have to do is wait a day, because you get a new charge every single day. And if you're a patron, you get 3 more charges every week. So in order to get into a random dungeon here, you have to have a hit rating of 800 or more, and also some of the primary stats for your character. If you don't have these stats or the hit rating, you can buy crafted gear, or even do some of the things in the game such as questing or else instant adventures or anything else that we're going to talk about, and that will give you the gear in order to get into the Nightmare Tide Experts. Another activity you can do is Chronicles, which if you have done your level 50 A Hero Rises Chronicle, you will know exactly what this is all about. It's basically like a dungeon, except for it's made for 1 or 2 players. And if you go to the top of the Chronicles menu here, you see a random chronicle with a charge beside it. And it's just like the dungeon charges, to where you get a new charge every day. And if you do one of the chronicles with a charge, then you will get some of the currencies listed below, such as Fragments of Horror and Fragments of Madness, which of course are needed to upgrade your gear or else buy new gear. And if you would like to enter solo, all you have to do is click on the enter button beside the random chronicle, or you can enter in with a friend with a group enter. The third activity you can do is something that everybody should be very familiar with, which is instant adventures. And if you go to Margol Palace in Dromheim, where you see my character at, there is an NPC named Ralph that you can get a weekly quest from called Spirit of Adventure. And this will ask you to complete 30 instant adventures, and you get a ton of currencies if you complete this task, such as 100 Fragments of Horror, 160 Fragments of Madness, 2,500 void stones, stuff like that. It is a ton of currencies. And if you do these instant adventures, you will be able to turn in other currencies into these NPCs that will give you tons of notoriety. It is a lot of benefits to doing instant adventures and then getting the currencies and turning them in at these quest hubs. Another thing you can do is Nightmare Rifts. Now these are the rifts that are appropriate for level 65s, where it will give you lots of notoriety and currencies for your gear. So if you go to the quest hub and just go to the west of where Ralph was, you will see under this ramp a lot of NPCs, and each one of these will give daily quests for Nightmare Rifts that will give you currencies so you can upgrade your items. And then you can go over to the right over here and go to this NPC, and he will give a storyline quest that once you complete it, you will be able to get a weekly every single week that will allow you to kill 20 bosses in Nightmare Rifts and get lots of currencies once again. So Nightmare Rifts are very beneficial in notoriety, Planarite, as well as getting gear and weekly currencies that you're going to need. If you'd like to find a Nightmare Rift, all you have to do is open up your map and look around and try to find one that is already open. As you can see, I found one in the Tarkin Glacier here. If you do not find one in any areas that you're looking at, you can go to the Rift store and then go down to Rifts tab and then go to Nightmare and buy a lure yourself, and then find a Rift Tear anywhere in the lands and open one up yourself so that everybody can join in on the fun. The next thing you can do is world events. Now most people should be familiar with these, in that it is where all the rifts start opening up in a zone and monsters are all running down the roads, and there's usually a boss at the end of it. Well, it's the same thing that we're looking for at level 65, but we're going to be looking in the Nightmare Tide areas, which is the Plane of Water. And if world events happen there, we can take part in them and go up and fight the boss and get lots of rewards. If we go back to the Margol Palace in the quest hub that we were at before, we will see this NPC named Reno, and he is located right between where Ralph was and the Nightmare Rift NPCs, and he will give us a weekly quest called War Across the Seas. And this quest will ask us to take part in 4 of the world events, and once we have completed it, we will get a lot of currencies that we're going to need in order to get new gear or upgrade our gear. So make sure that you get this quest and then go take part in the world events. The next activity is by far my favorite in that it is fighting other players, or also called PvP. Now this can be done in several different ways, such as going into Warfront matches, in the massive conquest matches, or even in world PvP where you fight people in the open world. If you'd like to take part in these, all you have to do is click on the Warfront menu and then go to Random Warfront here and click the Join button. And as you can see, it has Warfront charges, much like we had the Dungeon and Chronicle charges. And if you win the Warfront, you get the currencies listed below, which are very nice. Now keep in mind, if you win a Warfront, you get the chance of getting a Marauder Cache, which is a box that you open up and it could have anything from gear in it to artifacts or even currencies. If you'd like to join a conquest match, all you have to do is click on the conquest tab at the bottom here, and then it will have a join button at the top if a conquest match is going at that time. Now you can get lots of really good rewards from conquest matches in that you get void stones just by taking part in them, and also at the end you can have a chance from looting a chest of getting even a Heart of the Frozen. If you're wanting to take part in PvP, make sure that you pick up the weekly quests given by these NPCs, and they are just to the east of where Ralph was in the Margot Palace quest hub, and they will give you 4 different weekly quests that all partake in PvP, and they give huge rewards, so make sure that you get these. One of the most epic activities you can do in the game is raiding, and this is where you're going to fight the biggest, baddest monsters in the game and get some of the best rewards, whether it's gear or currencies or even notoriety. In order to get into any of the raids, all you have to do is go to any of the chat channels and ask to be part of a raid, and somebody will probably fit you in somewhere. If you want a more guaranteed way of getting into raids, all you have to do is get into a guild that does raiding, and you can go to the guild finder and click on the raiding tab and narrow it down to where you find guilds that are doing nightly raids or even several times a week. And there are lots of guilds in the game that are doing this, so the odds that you'll get into one of these is very likely. Another activity I really enjoy doing is crafting, and you can do that in the Chorberg area of the Margot Palace if you like. That way you'll be next to all the NPCs that will give you daily and weekly crafting quests. The daily quests that you get usually give artisan marks or grandmaster marks that will be used to get new recipes for crafting, so you can craft new items. Whereas Howard the Bunny over here will give you a weekly quest that will give you Fragments of Horror or Fragments of Madness. And then we have the Golem over here that will give us a weekly quest that will reward us with a crafting lure. And this lure can be used to open up a rift that will reward you with rare crafting materials that are used for lots of the newest recipes in the game. In order to take part in crafting, all you have to do is talk to any of the NPCs around these hubs, and you will be able to train in a particular crafting skill. And you can only learn 3 of the main crafting skills, so make sure that you choose wisely. Crafting is not only a lot of fun, but the items that you make can also be sold on the auction house or in the chat channels and earn you lots of platinum in the game. A rather fluff activity that is still fun to do is getting achievements in the game, and these are basically awards for accomplishing certain tasks in the game. And these can be a wide range of things, whether it's downing certain raids or else killing so many players in Warfronts. A lot of different things that you can do, and once you get the awards for certain ones of them, you can get titles awarded to you, so these are very fun to do. This next activity is something that almost every character in the game should be taking part in, and that is planar attunement. Because once you hit level 50, you will start getting experience from fighting monsters or players that will contribute towards your planar attunement. And once it levels up, it will give you a point to put into these various trees. Now these will give your character several different things, whether it's increased endurance, more attack power, or even abilities to summon your group to rifts. What's a good MMO without a pet system? And it's called minions. And this allows you to gather various pets in the game and send them on quest. And once you send them on a quest, they will come back after so much time and give you the rewards of that particular quest, such as artifacts, crafting materials, or even notoriety. While exploring the world, you'll come upon these shiny objects on the ground, and these are called artifacts. Now, a lot of people like collecting these artifacts and putting entire sets of them together and getting the reward from getting that set. And it could be lots of different rewards, such as coffers of goods and even pets in the game. Ever wonder who is the best at a particular activity? Well, that's where the leaderboards come in. You can look at all the various things that you can do in the game, and it will rank players according to who is doing it the best on that particular week. And also you can go to the top 50 to where you can see who is the best overall in the entire span of the game. So you can see who the best players are and how you compare to them. Want to show how creative you are? Well, that's where the player housing, or else as it's called, dimensions, comes in. This is where you can be as creative as you want and have your very own dimension, or even build a dimension for your guild to where it's going to be very interactive or else extremely decorated. However you would like to do it, it is the sky is the limit, basically. Have you done all you want to do with a particular character, or if you want to try something else, a good option is creating alternate characters. And that way you can try out the various classes and go through the different storylines, such as if you are normally making Guardian characters and would like to do the Defiant storyline, this is the perfect opportunity to choose a new class and get a new storyline. The number one thing with progression is getting it done as fast as possible, and not many things in the game benefit you as much as a patron status does. And this is also known as a subscription to the game. If you have this, it will give you lots of benefits to make it worth your while, such as increased experience, increased favor, notoriety, and even prestige to where you can get those PvP ranks. And then it will also increase your chance of getting Marvelous Loot from crates. There are lots of benefits to Patron, and there's even a fast teleport that you can use anywhere in the game, as well as Warfront charges and dungeon charges that you would not normally have. And then you can also summon your own personal trainers to change your specs as much as you like, as well as getting a mailbox anywhere in the game as well. Ever want to get a friend into the game but want benefits for referring them? Then this is where the Send a Friend comes in. And this will allow you to copy and paste this code into your Facebook, Twitter, or even an email. And if they click on the link and use it, you will get referral coins in the game that you can spend on various things. And if they spend money on the game, you get even more referral coins. Things you can spend your referral points on is things such as pets, costume items, mounts in the game, supply crates that will give you gear, or even wrecks that will give you credits in the game. What it all boils down to is whichever way you prefer to play the game and have fun. There are just so many things to do at level 65, whether you're fighting players in Warfronts or Conquest, or else fighting monsters in dungeons or raiding. And there are of course the crafting hounds that are making items and selling them on the auction house so that they can make as much money in the game as they can. Whichever way you prefer, just grab it, run with it, and have fun. As usual, guys, my name is Grim, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, rookie. You've learned the basics of guerrilla warfare, but I'm here to tell you why we fight, and how we're gonna reclaim this city zone by zone. The Red Zone is the most decimated area in Philadelphia, but it's also where the Resistance has established a foothold. It ain't gonna be glamorous, and you're probably gonna die.
Speeches like that. I'm amazed we haven't won the war already.
Among the bombed-out ruins and abandoned streets, our guerrilla tactics are having a real effect against the KPA. In the Red Zone, we target strategic strike points important to the KPA. Taking these over will help turn the tide in the Resistance's favor, strengthening our hold in the zone, freeing up safe houses, and giving us greater access to supplies and equipment. You need to get over to the army and help prepare the ambush. Me and Dana are gonna round up as many fighters as we can and meet you over there. To take out armored KPA patrols, we've planted traps all over the place and set up ambush areas. Be aware though, the KPA are always watching, with the airships monitoring the Red Zone 24/7. The Red Zone is a spider's web of snipers. Just make sure you get them before they get you. Taking back the red zone will give us the foothold we need to move into the next zone, where the KPA are even stronger. This densely populated area is called the Yellow Zone, and it's in complete lockdown, with the KPA heavily suppressing people's lives.
Whoa, what the hell, man?
With people living in complete fear, it's up to us to help show them the way out. By touching their hearts and inspiring their minds, we can show Philly that life doesn't have to be this way. Blend in with the crowd and you can sabotage the KPA's comms and channels, hack TV and radio systems that broadcast propaganda.
Our goal is the restoration of this once great country.
Free prisoners of the state or suppress civilians, and destroy or capture their infrastructure.
My guys are being held at the police station, and God only knows what the Norks are doing to them. We gotta get them out.
With each act of defiance, watch the people's attitudes change toward the resistance, and the uprising becoming more and more achievable. You'll see the city change around you as a direct consequence of your actions. And believe me, we'll need everyone's help if we're gonna defeat the KPA, rookie. Once you've conquered the red and the yellow zones, you'll get the chance to take the fight to the heart of the KPA in the green zone. These are high-value targets where they exercise total control, and they have these areas armed up to the teeth. They're fortresses, so you're gonna need every damn thing you can get if we're gonna conquer these areas and win this war. Make sure you've learned from all your previous missions, rookie. Otherwise, we haven't got a hope in hell. Don't let me down.
The Churchill Inglorious Guns update introduces the M1941 Johnson light machine gun for the US faction, the P38 Parabellum handgun for the German faction, new camouflage uniforms for US soldiers, notable weapon tweaks on the Fallschirmjägergewehr 42, and new assault team shop images. The US M1941 Johnson light machine gun was developed at the same time and with the same goal as the German Fallschirmjägergewehr 42. By coincidence, US and German engineers came up with almost identical solutions, making them equal opponents on the battlefield. Its high rate of fire and quick reload time makes the Johnson a fast and effective weapon, especially when upgraded with the high-tier Bertie Clay Mk3 ammunition. This powerful light machine gun was given to the US Special Forces, and the first receivers were the legendary Devil's Brigade, known from the movie Inglourious Bastards. The Johnson can be used by US infantry and paratroopers, and is unlocked at LMG Assault Ribbon Rank 12 or Parachute Ribbon Rank 9. The German P38 Parabellum is a reliable and accurate handgun, also known from Inglourious Bastards as Oberst Hans Lander's pistol. Its design was so groundbreaking that it is regarded as the first modern pistol, and most handguns produced today are still built on its principles. The P38 Parabellum is introduced as an addition to the iconic P08. While both weapons are very similar, the top-tier German handgun's damage output is comparatively higher than that of the P08s. The P38 is available for all soldiers of the German faction and can be unlocked at Handgun Assault Ribbon Rank 12. The Churchill update, named after the British soldier Mad Jack Churchill, will also introduce more US uniforms. They come in the experimental Hunter pattern and are available in 3 different color variations: Hunter Fall, Hunter Spring, and Hunter Swamp. These uniforms are available for US infantry, paratrooper, and recon soldiers. In other news, the Fallschirmjägergewehr 42 can now be fired while running and has been tweaked to improve its handling and gameplay experience. Commanders and generals will notice that we made new, high-polished shop images for assault teams. Our talented render artist Rito Black Jammer took inspiration from war sceneries and from his own expeditions in Heroes and Generals in order to bring to life the situations you and your friends might find yourself in on the battlefield. That's all for now. Play the game for free at heroesandgenerals.com or on Steam.
What was that?
It's the quality of life patch. Crashlands. This patch is all about taking things that sucked a whole bunch and making them suck a whole bunch slightly less. First, we rebuilt the map. Now you can pan, zoom, pinch, toggle, tickle, caress, and square dance with it. You can even see those pets you abandoned in the middle of nowhere like some sociopathic monster. Crashlands! We upped those DPIs, SSDs, GPUs, and VRs in the game by 3,000%. So now you can scale that UI and game separately while using the new UberMax HD mode! And if you've been in doubt with uncooperative retinas, well, we've hooked up a brand new set of colorblind modes for you to choose from. Take that, retinas! New items! Did you accidentally name your pet Pants Lord? No problem. Just put some chloroform on a rag and make it forget its name. 40 hours deep? Tired of slapping pots? Use a shiny new pot slapper. Then when you're about to complain to us about slapping that pot slapper, why don't you slap a pot slapper beamer down and then slap your mouth shut instead? Oh yeah, and we fixed all this too. Crashlands! Have fun, bye.
People keep asking me, Kenneth, what's this new game I've heard so much about? And why are you so damn good looking? Well, dear viewer, allow me to explain. I've just got one of those faces that's abnormally symmetrical and a certain type of person thinks, whoa, he's a bit of alright. Oh, and this. That's your lot. Don't watch it again, okay? Promise? Promise? Consider yourselves teased.
Not games!